A new Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic game is reportedly in the works, and it's not being made by EA and BioWare. Now, Knights of the Old Republic being in the news isn't particularly new. A few years back, there was the rumour that Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 were going to be sort of restructured as both games into one game that would fit the new canon. Then there was the rumours about the remake. However, this one has a little bit more maybe evidence that could suggest this is possible, given the fact that Lucasfilm Games now exists and the fact that EA no longer hold the license after 2023. It's clear that Lucasfilm Games aren't afraid of giving the license to big developers, with Bethesda and Ubisoft already in the running to make Star Wars games. However, according to all the leaks, the studio that is making Knights of the Old Republic isn't very well known. Now, it was elaborated that the studio isn't an unknown studio, but it's not necessarily a household name studio. So, I wanted to make a video of my top 5 developers who I think might be in the running to be making the future generation of Knights of the Old Republic games. Now, of course, everybody's first choice is going to be Obsidian Entertainment. If you didn't know, Obsidian made Knights of the Old Republic 2, which is quite honestly regarded as one of the best RPGs ever made. While it's not necessarily as well renowned as Knights of the Old Republic 1, what Knights of the Old Republic did do was bring in a new philosophical take on the Star Wars universe. It had a darker take on the Star Wars universe, and it was well respected in terms of storytelling as a game that was above the original. It also makes a lot of sense given that Microsoft have already got one of their studios working on a Lucasfilm game, that being the Indiana Jones game made by Bethesda, so it wouldn't necessarily hurt for Microsoft to have another big name Star Wars game under their belt for potential exclusivity going forward. Now, the only problem with Obsidian having the rights to Knights of the Old Republic game is that I think people will be expecting a game like Knights of the Old Republic 2. However, the original visionary behind KOTOR 2 doesn't work for the company anymore, and the studio itself aren't necessarily the same company they were back in 2004. They are still very talented and still have the capability to do Knights of the Old Republic game, but I think it would be a bit risky given their take already on the universe and people's expectations for something similar. Now, the second studio that I think might work on the game is, in my opinion, the best studio to possibly do it. Larian Studios create some of the best RPG experiences of all time, and in my opinion they made probably the best RPG ever made in Divinity Original Sin 2. Their ability to weave storytelling experiences with player-driven experiences, their game's visual fidelity, their characters, everything that Larian do just seems to work. And given that they've already worked on one original BioWare game, that's Baldur's Gate, I wouldn't be surprised if they take on another. Additionally, Larian aren't necessarily a huge name studio. Yes, they have made incredible and renowned RPGs, but they're not at the top in terms of household names, so it would make a lot of sense if a studio like Larian did take on the responsibility. Also, they have a nous when it comes to early 2000s RPG experiences, Divinity and Baldur's Gate being the clear examples of that, and I honestly don't believe there is a studio in this world that would make a better KOTOR remake or reboot than Larian Studios. Square Enix already have a working relationship with Disney after making the Marvel's Avengers, even though it wasn't very popular. They also have the license to make more, to my knowledge, so it wouldn't surprise me if Disney also give them the license to make Star Wars games. Despite the negative reception of the Avengers, Crystal Dynamics do have a good portfolio. Now, Crystal Dynamics are well known for rebooting the Tomb Raider franchise and for making a good Tomb Raider franchise, so they wouldn't be shy to rebooting a well-known series. Now, the only problem with Crystal Dynamics is that they make action-adventure games and not RPGs. However, given that Disney want to make this continuity of Star Wars canon, it doesn't really make sense how they would make an RPG with flexible player choices and branching endings. If they were to ever make Knights of the Old Republic more of an action-adventure game like, say, Jedi Fallen Order, I do think Crystal Dynamics would be a great choice to do so. However, again, like I said, this one's probably unlikely. My fourth choice is a little known studio called Exile Entertainment. Now, if you don't know who Exile are, they make the popular RPG series known as The Wasteland. The Wasteland is a story-driven, isometric, turn-based combat RPG, and for a smaller studio, I do think they have what it takes to maybe bring about a new generation of Knights of the Old Republic video games. Additionally, Exile games are under the acquisition of Microsoft, so like we spoke about earlier, it would kind of make sense for Microsoft to keep up that relationship with Lucasfilm Games and have the IP to themselves, whether it be for exclusivity or whatnot. Also, there's the possibility of maybe porting over veterans from Obsidian who are also under Microsoft, so there's definitely a chance there for some kind of unity under the Microsoft brand. I have played Wasteland 3 and I do think it is an entertaining game with a lot of potential. I don't think it's amazing, but I do see how Exile could potentially be the chosen ones to make a Knights of the Old Republic game. Their games are rich with lore, great dialogue, incredible storytelling experiences, and like the leaks suggest, it's not a well-known studio, it's relatively under the radar. So if Exile turned out to be making the Knights of the Old Republic games, I would not be surprised. Now obviously I know about all of the chaos surrounding Cyberpunk, but regardless, CDPR makes some of the best RPGs of all time. They have a huge budget, and it can't be denied that what CDPR do is respectable. They try and make the best of the best, and when you look at something like The Witcher, which is quite possibly the best RPG of the past 2 generations, I don't think you could fault them in terms of what their potential is. Now obviously I don't want a Witcher 3 skin, but I look at The Witcher 3 and I see a game that could easily be ported into the Star Wars universe. An RPG with incredible dialogue, gameplay, storytelling mechanics, options, and so to me, aside from Larian, I think CDPR would be the best bet to go with, given that they have a much bigger budget than Larian Studios too. Also, it's well known that CD Projekt Red prefer to take licenses rather than create their own, The Witcher and Cyberpunk being an example of that. Now obviously this one is a bit more far out. The leaks did suggest that it would be an unknown studio, and CDPR aren't quite an unknown studio, but I would love to see CD Projekt Red take on a Star Wars project. I'd absolutely love to know your thoughts and which company you think should tackle a Knights of the Old Republic game, so please let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Also, come and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and perhaps consider taking a look at my Patreon if you want to support the channel further. Also, please come and join my Discord server. I'd love to have you there. All links are in the description below. I'll see you guys in the next video. But until then, may the Force be with you. Always.